Hello, and welcome back to the Nostalgic Futurist podcast. Today, I wanted to talk about holidays in the Disney parks. And yes, I know, there's no Disneyland for Christmas. I got it, okay? Even Santa can't bring it to me. But I wanted to talk about holidays because it's a time of the year where a lot of people say, hey, go on actual Christmas Eve, no one's there. Or go on Thanksgiving because everyone's home with their families. But maybe that's not always true. I've been to Disneyland on a lot of holidays or right around them, and I can tell you a little bit of what I've seen in the last few years, which, since it's 2020, maybe in the future it'll be different, but I figured it might be a good temperature check for what Buena Vista Street's gonna be like for the rest of this month. All right, now for those of you who don't know what I mean when I say Buena Vista Street, it's actually the main street of Disney's California Adventure Park, which is right across the way from Disneyland. This holiday season, we are getting just a stretch of DCA open, just for shopping and food, and it's really socially distanced. I watched some of the videos from opening day, and man, they are letting less people in there than I thought they would. So, it's a nice, intimate experience, but I foresee there being a lot of crowds, which are gonna make the line to get in feel really long. But that's the cool thing about Disney. It's a virtual line. So none of this, hey, you all got to stand 6 feet apart, and so we've got this line that goes on for like miles through downtown Disney, causing disruptions and people are too close together. They do a virtual queue for almost everything in downtown Disney, meaning that you don't have to stand in a line while you wait. You can go shop in another place, you could walk around, you could go get an ice cream, and then come back. Now, I think that Buena Vista Street opening for Christmas is wonderful. It looks beautiful, it's decorated for Christmas. But there's also been some rumors that maybe they might add Main Street in Disneyland later if DCA's Buena Vista Street goes well. And that has been cited because there have been cast members called back, and they've also been decorating in Disneyland. And if you look through the gates, you can see some wreaths and stuff that are not necessarily like, hey, we're decorating the front of Disneyland because you guys can see it from the Esplanade. It's like them decorating Disneyland. Now, the problem is now that you've got all these people who would normally get to go to Disneyland and DCA and Universal Studios Hollywood and Knott's Berry Farm, who would normally go for Christmas, all of a sudden they can only fit in the tiny stretches of downtown Disney, DCA, and maybe Disneyland. And if they add Disneyland, it could be crazy. I think I'm actually gonna kick it over to the guest tracking board over here. Yes. So I wanted to bring up a map of downtown Disney and Buena Vista Street so that we can just talk about how busy we think things are gonna get for Christmas. Because let's remember, normally you have all of Disneyland and all of DCA and all of Universal Studios and everything. Everything including malls and restaurants and destinations are open. And now suddenly one of the only things that is kind of open is shopping and dining at downtown Disney / Buena Vista Street. So it's gonna be getting busy. And now, as you can see on our map, we have the downtown Disney district, which is fairly wide, but also you've got to deal with the fact that yes, most of the queues for the stores and the restaurants are going to be virtual, but you're going to have a lot of lines that end up in the walkways, that end up in the way because they do have some people who are lined up in person. And while that is done really well, Disney does a great job. But when I went there for my birthday, I will say that it did feel somewhat crowded, even though they had a limit on how many people were in there. And I can only imagine it's gonna get worse at Christmas. Now, also, Buena Vista Street has a different thing. So Buena Vista Street is only allowing in, I think I heard a rumor, 1,000 people or something, which in all of Buena Vista Street and all of the area by award winners and all the area over at the Grizzly Airfield, towards Soarin' in that bathroom, that's all open. That's a lot of space for 1,000 people. And so if you watch videos, it's sparse. It's amazingly sparse. And that's kind of cool. But also, I just think about how many people are going to end up in that virtual queue waiting to go into Buena Vista Street, but also how many people are going to be sitting waiting to get into the parking lot to park. How many people are going to be waiting at the security check, just like, okay, how many more people are they letting in? I'm just saying, realize that there are thousands and thousands of people who would probably normally go to Disneyland and DCA for Christmas, me included, who are all going to be clamoring down there to try and get in and do their Christmas shopping and go get their, peppermint wand and everything like that. Back to you. Now that we've talked about the holiday season we're getting this year and what might be happening, let's actually talk about what are the best times to go to the Disney parks, and are holidays actually a smart decision? Now, the Disney parks are usually emptiest when most people are in school or have their regular Monday through Friday 8 to 5 job. So January after New Year's and after winter breaks ended, February, March, and the beginning of April before spring break, those are some great times to go. And from what I hear, that's a great time to go to Disney World as well, because the weather is more temperate than it is in the summer where it's like humid and hot and it's raining and there's hurricanes. I mean, Disney World, crazy. And I will say, Disneyland itself, yes, it can get cool in the evenings, and in the winter it can be kind of cool, but then you're all cozy and it's kind of whatever. But man, sometimes when you're there in the summer and you're standing in the queue for Haunted Mansion, which is just cement in the sun, I hate that queue. I'll only ride it at night in the summer. Anyway, so, holidays like Valentine's Day, yes, can sometimes have more people go, usually in the evening, because, people will take their significant other and go in the evening and, just have their evening in Disney. But a lot of the other holidays in that chunk of the year, January through April, are not hyper important in Disney. So I would say that they're fairly safe. I've gone a few times close to Valentine's Day, and it's been about the regular February crowd. Now, that being said, remember, Monday through Thursday is always going to be better than Friday through Sunday. Friday through Sunday is always going to be busier no matter what time of the year it is, because it's the day everyone has off. And you have to remember, Disneyland is a locals park. These people can just pop in whenever they feel like it. Hey, I got out of class at 3 p.m. today. You guys want to just go to Disneyland? Those kind of people are going to be around. So you have to realize that there are times of the day, like the evening, that do tend to get busy, even on a weekday, because locals can just pop in. Now, spring break is not a good time to go. Avoid that week and maybe the week or two around it, because a lot of people go to Disney for spring break. It's a really good time of the year to go to the park because it's not too cold and it's not hot. So it's a nice time, but I'm not so into it because it's not decorated as much, as it is in the fall and Christmas. But yes, avoid spring break. Then avoid the summer months. And if you have a SoCal annual pass, or the lowest AP that's not SoCal is usually also blocked out for most of the summer. And you know what? It's kind of nice because it's really hard to go to Disneyland in the summer. Like I said, it's hot, but also you've got everyone on their summer vacation. And then you get those people who come and they all have the matching t-shirts and they're all like, it's, Bob and his family's reunion 2021. And then, you get just people from all over who don't normally come to Disneyland are there. So it's a busy time, but hey, if you love that kind of crazy busyness, go for it. Now, when it gets to be the fall, so later in September, October, but not Halloween, and November, but not Thanksgiving, those tend to be also really good times because a lot of people just went back to school, so they're not trying to go to Disney because they probably went on their summer vacation. Now, I've never been on actual Halloween, and typically both Disneyland and Disney World have Halloween parties for about a month before the actual holiday, and those are a great bargain because yes, it is a hard ticketed event. You are paying about the same as you would for a whole day in Disney for just 3 or 4 hours at night, but there's so much less people. And you get like to get on the rides quickly. You can go get character meet and greets. There's trick-or-treating. Like, it's awesome. But those parties can fill up because they don't let as many people in as they normally would. And I will also say, like, right around Halloween, it starts to get busy because, you know, you've got Haunted Mansion Holiday, which is all decorated, and they've got all like the pumpkins on Main Street and everything. And so it starts to get a little crazy. And then the craziness just gets worse because November's kind of casual, and then you get to Thanksgiving. And I went to Thanksgiving. I've been to Thanksgiving, I think, a few times in Disneyland. And I had been told by a friend, he said, go on Thanksgiving, because me and my family went. And that day it was Thanksgiving and everything was still fall and there was pumpkins everywhere and there's like no one there. And then we went to the park the next day on, well, yeah, Thanksgiving moves, doesn't it? So they went to the park the next day and they said overnight it was Christmas. Like, everything was Christmas decorated. And I was like, whoa, this sounds awesome. So I went my first time on Thanksgiving, like the actual day of Thanksgiving, and it was so busy. I was like, don't you guys all need to go eat some turkey with your family or something? Like, why are you all here? It was crazy. I think as more and more we, you know, progress in time, less and less people feel the need to do that traditional Thanksgiving where, you know, you go to grandma and grandpa's house and you eat the turkey and the cranberry sauce and all that stuff. And I think more and more people are becoming comfortable with, like, let's have a beach Thanksgiving. How about we go to Disney for Thanksgiving? And so I saw a lot of, like, maybe even like extended families there having their Thanksgiving in Disneyland, which is nice because here's the thing about Disneyland. Main Street USA is literally just holiday traditions waiting to happen. So you can go to the Plaza Inn and get your turkey and happy Thanksgiving, right? Now, December gets hard. I will say from Thanksgiving all the way until after Christmas is slammed because they've got all the cute stuff up. Haunted Mansion Holiday is still happening. You've got It's a Small World, which is like lit up like a dream. And you've got just like tinsel and greenery and ribbons and everything everywhere. And it's so magical. I went right before Christmas last year and it was busy. But it was like fun because they had the Christmas parade going and, you know, they've got like all the fun like reindeer and it was so cute. And I went with my mom and we were like getting a Starbucks before we left the park for the night. And I heard the music that said they were about to have the snow happen on Main Street. And I knew my mom had never seen it. And I was like, you gotta go outside right now. Like, you gotta run. I will order your drink, go under the thing, get out there. And so she goes running out and she's like, I had an sure. I was like, go! And so she gets outside and the snow starts falling, which is just bubbles. But I mean, there's something magical about it because they turn all the lights down a little bit and it really starts to look like it's snowing. And, you know, it doesn't snow here in California. So those of us in California, I mean, yes, it does in parts, but for the most of us, it doesn't. So those of us who like don't see snow all the time are like, oh, snow. You know, because Main Street doesn't take place in California. It takes place in a place that probably does snow. So then I get our drinks and I go outside and my mom's just like, it was snowing. And I was like, right? And she was like, you know, sometimes it's really cool to see when like adults have the moment of being on Main Street and being like, oh my gosh, I'm in Disney and I just witnessed magic, you know? And so that's kind of the whole year of holidays and what it's like. Oh my gosh, it is hard to think about holidays in Disneyland when you can't have them. But I really do hope that maybe they will open up Main Street USA this year for December in hopes of, yes, it's gonna draw more crowds, but you know, it's more area and like, I mean, everyone loves the Candy Palace at Christmas and people want to go get treats at Jolly Holiday and eat their, you know, Christmas dinner at the Plaza Inn and see the castle light up at night. I mean, and if it's COVID appropriate, since bubbles are soap, maybe it snows. Thank you all for joining me for another episode of The Nostalgic Futurist. I really am trying to think of things to talk about that are still applicable. Because trust me, as soon as the parks are back open, we're talking about how to memorize the lines and how quickly to know like that the numbers on the wait list thing are lying to you because the cast members are trying to move you around the park. And we're going to talk about the fastest ways to get around the park, whether it's during a parade or during Fantasmic or during fireworks. I mean, we have so much to talk about. I have so much knowledge to share. But in 2020, it's lost. So we're gonna keep finding stuff to talk about as we wait for Disneyland and the world to go back to normal. Thank you, and I'll see you guys in 2 weeks.